You're listening to the world-famous White Roof Radio, Woofcast number 672, recorded August 25th, 2021. Tonight brought to you by DonBurnside.com, MotoringStripes.com, and, oh heck, DetroitTune.com. Sorry. Let's do this one more time. Hey everybody, it's DV in Arizona with a brand new episode of the world-famous White Roof Radio. We're talking about, you know what, honestly, tonight, I don't know what we're talking about, so this is going to be as good a show for you as it is for me, but we got full crew. Todd's here. Todd, say hi.
Hello, and can I say, listen to the end. This is going to be like a Marvel movie. There'll be some outtakes at the very end of this.
The good Reverend is here as well. Mr. Chad Miller, Detroit Tune, DetroitTune.com is here. Chad, say hi.
Hello. I vote for hot air balloons and hugs all around.
Yeah, that's good.
Attaboy.
And camel rides.
And then
camel rides.
And then special treat, we got Gabe too. Gabe.
Pleasure as always.
Yeah, we were able to tear Gabe away from his garage full of, like, I don't know, how much money you got in cars now, Gabe? It's like $500,000 or something, right?
$8.
You got 17 Porsches. You got that old BMW. You got 14 Minis now. What's going on with your garage, man? Where do you keep all these cars?
That's a good question.
Cars?
Well, they're dispersed. You know, just in case of bombs are dispersed.
You just have them parked all around Chicago, no matter where you are. You just look at your watch, and it's like you kind of look one way, you look the other way, and you kind of duck down like a dark alley, and then you emerge in some random vehicle, and off you go.
There's various garages, if you will.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Got it. So it just depends on where you are in town. It's just like, oh, I'm over on this side of town. Oh, am I getting the JCW Countryman? I mean, of course, that's what you drive over here, right? I don't know. I'm just guessing.
That's true. I will say 3 out of 4 of my cars run right now. So
wow.
Although, admittedly, the 4th just needs to be jumped every time. But
is the 4th just because it doesn't drive? Or is it the old car that doesn't?
It's the old car. It's got a power issue.
That's fine. It's fine. It's an old car. I mean, his car's almost as old as I am.
It's great. I love it.
It's a good-looking car. Yeah, it's a good-looking car. So, anyway, Gabe, we're going to talk about stuff. What are we going to talk about tonight? You know what I'm going to start with? I'm going to start with saying thanks to everybody who's provided feedback and caught me. Todd, can you pipe in a little Mr. Mom here for me?
Yeah, you're going to make it all 220? Yeah, 220, 221, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
For those of you who missed the reference last week, there it is. Anyway, for those of you who said, hey, this is it. If you're on Twitter, I said, DM us your address. You're going to have stickers. You didn't DM me. You're going to get stickers. And then Thunderceptor in Australia, the land down under, he's got stickers on his way. Hopefully he gets those. Hopefully he gets them. I'm weird with mailing stuff overseas. It's happened once so far successfully, so go me. Anyway, thanks for all the feedback. And then also for those of you who said that you'd like a Gen show. Yeah, watch for that to happen very soon. We're not going to do that tonight. What are we going to talk about tonight? We got a little bit of news of MotoringFile. We could talk about. Whatever else you guys want to talk about.
I think the thing that I just said goodbye to a brand new Cooper S convertible in zesty yellow.
Oh, I saw that car.
I grew 1,000 miles on in a week. So I am ready to discuss the F57.
But that color, Gabe.
I like it. I like it.
You
do? I do.
It's like it's good. It's good in small doses, though, Todd. Like, you have it every day. You drive around Chicago in it. Like, it's it's a little. It's very bright.
Yes.
It's a better. I'm going to say this. It's a better yellow than interchange yellow was back in the day. That was pretty horrible.
Interesting. Ooh. What about that IKEA yellow? What was that?
The mellow yellow?
No. This is like the R50 yellow.
Liquid yellow.
That was liquid. That was old school liquid yellow.
Yeah.
That was yellow. That was like
yellow left in the sun.
Yeah, there was a mellow
banana yellow.
Yeah, there was a mellow yellow on the Countryman only, and it was a horrible pale, just awful.
That was bad.
No offense, Minnie. It was an awful color, and that's why it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
and they're not yellow anymore right now. If you actually go look at those cars, they're not yellow.
And Gabe, I want to know. Speaking of color on the car, we're going to diverge a little bit here because I know BMW's has the BMW individual program, and you know you can actually get a color like just about anything you want on a BMW now, and they've dropped it down to like 1 and 2 series where you can do this. It used to be just on higher end cars. but you can order a custom color, and it's going to cost you, $3, $4, $5 extra.
More than that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 8-ish.
Okay.
9-ish. And there's different variations of it, but there's a catalog of, I can't remember the exact number, but it's like,
hundreds
of like 60, 80 colors.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's really, really cool. And it's like a badge of, honestly, like it started in the Porsche community. It's called PTS in Porsche.
Right.
And in BMW speak, I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's
called individual, BMW individual.
It's this badge of honor. Well, in BMW individual actually refers to like a number of different options.
Well, it does. It's kind of like mini. It's kind of like mini yours, but
right. And mini yours was intended to sort of be like that, but with like about 1/20 the options. But point is, like, it's kind of tricky because setting up that kind of paint in a factory is difficult. Mini already has to deal with a lot of different variations because of the roof situation going on.
Right.
So, and they have a price point that's much different. And then you ask, what person who's buying a even $40,000 car is going to drop $8,000 on a color.
Right.
And sure, there may be a few, but like, is it enough to actually go through the millions of dollars it's going to cost to make it happen in the factory? So
you're better off calling somebody like me and having them wrap the car for like $2,500.
$1,000 times over. No, I mean, to give you some free press, 100% that's what I would do is call Todd. So I think that's the thing. I mean, the Mini is also like, looking at this saying, hey, you know what, we offer a lot of stripes. We offer a lot of other stuff that like gives you the ability to sort of personalize your car. It is really cool. Especially with the BMW and Porsche stuff, because you can go back and like choose some vintage colors that aren't offered anymore. And so you'll do a double take. You'll see like, like, oh my God, was that like a E92 and fire orange? Like what? So,
and I don't know if it's changed now, but I remember when DB and I toured the factory, and Gabe, you've been to the factory too. They said they were limited to X number of colors. They had a maximum number that they could do. And so that's why they kind of rotated
that was
through.
It was like a hardware limitation or something.
Yeah, it was
with the paint gear.
Yeah, it's like we can't do more than this number of colors loaded into the system, basically, because they did run the cars, and you see cars come down the line. There's a white one, there's a blue one, there's a green one, there's a red one, and it's not like they paint 50 red ones like the GM plant does at the same time, or 500 at the same time. They'll do these individually as they go, and so there is a limitation there, which I think is interesting. And
there's some interesting limitations. Knowing what I know about manufacturing, not in many but in other automotive companies, it's actually kind of alarming. Like the stuff that limits certain things, like, is down to like the fact that the computer that does the thing is on DOS. It's honestly crazy the stuff it's going on in those factories.
It's an old 8-bit machine, so I mean,
you get a choice of A or B. That's it.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, it's like there's only 64K of RAM in this thing, so there's only so much we can do.
Right. So it's going to take you a year.
Yeah. So let's just say that as high tech as these cars and these companies are, it's a massive organization, and there's a lot of hurdles to deal with in terms of manufacturing.
Right.
So Gabe, what did you think of the new convertible?
Yeah, let's dive in. So I'll actually start from I haven't written my review yet, so this is actually going to be really helpful for me. I can even look at my notes. The very first thing, like getting in this car, the very first thing that I felt driving down the road was like, holy shit, it is so great to be back in a small manual Mini. Like,
it was manual?
It's just such a delightful experience.
I have to agree with you. And like in my car, the manual transmission is truly amazing.
Yeah.
Same transmission you have. And I kept on thinking of your car, DB, because it's like you were going from a very different experience. And I love my JCW. Don't get me wrong. 306 horsepower, 330 foot-pound of torque, whatever. It's fast. And it's efficient with the shifting, et cetera. But you're just missing life. You're missing interaction. And so getting back into the wheel with a manual, just awesome. It was interesting though. Like it's been a little while with COVID. I haven't driven as many press cars, or I shouldn't say I've not been to as many events and haven't sampled as many different cars. Mm-hmm. Couple things. Number one, I like the new shifter and the clutch just generally. I think it's the best one Mini's made. It's a little rubbery. I'm curious to hear your take on that. Clutch is good. The pickup point. Everything is a little long, but I've been driving my 1M and my 718 Spider, so like that's why.
Right.
It's just the action's really good for a small car. And I was thinking about it, like for a small car, I can't think of anything better. And then I thought, shit, for a small car, I can't think of another manual.
Right, right.
I think it's it. And I mean,
it's called the Chevy Spark. But I don't know if you can still get that with a manual.
You can still get a number of Hondas, and I believe the Veloster you can get in a manual also.
I looked this up a little while ago. We were going to talk about this a couple weeks ago. We'll do that again in another show.
Yeah.
Well, point is, I mean, it's a really, really great car. I will say the F57, like the R57 and like the R54 before it, they all have cowl shake. It still has cowl shake. So what was really funny to me is that there is now a lane departure warning where your steering wheel will vibrate.
No, yeah, okay.
It is at first hard to even tell the difference between that and just hitting a bump,
right?
Because it's so subtle,
right?
And so, I mean, it's probably the most subtle one I've seen out there, which probably is also because a lot of people hate them.
Yeah, it's interesting they went that way because every lane departure I've ever seen or anything like that, it always vibrates a seat.
Yeah, no, BMW vibrates the steering wheel, and BMW will actually steer you back in. Now, Mini doesn't do this.
Some of them.
Some of the higher-end BMW ones will actually steer you back in.
Yeah, to be honest with you, Todd, like that's the not even the high-end. A lot of them do. I turn that off. I hate it.
Yeah, I hate it.
It's like you're wrestling the thing constantly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our Volkswagen just tells you right in the screen that you're moving. It doesn't try to steer you. It doesn't vibrate. It doesn't do anything. It just shows you something on the dash. That's it.
And when it becomes problematic is if there's a lot of construction in your area, which Gabe, I know in Chicago there is, here in Kansas City there is. Oh, okay. And so what happens is like there's construction and you're coming up in you're driving in your lane, you're perfect. And there's cones out in front of you, and there's a truck or whatever, and so you have to cross the line to go around this. Well, the car's going apeshit at you because you're four wheels over the line, and it's shaking and vibrating and trying to steer you, and you have to basically take control of it in the BMW. This is the Mini.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that there are situations where it's like, you know what, I'm a pretty good driver. I think I'm going to turn this off.
And Todd just convinced every R50, R53, R56 owner to never upgrade to a newer Mini.
No, you just turn it off. It's easy off. And so a couple things. Number one, what Todd just described is the BMW experience, which actually which tries to steer you back, which you can turn off. In fact, I think they may have turned it off by default now.
Yeah,
nice.
There's another system, which by the way is excellent, which is a sort of autonomous system. It doesn't quite go as far as like the Super Cruise in Cadillac or a Tesla, but it'll steer the car actually around corners for you.
Yeah.
While keeping your radar cruise on as well. So I'm going to Detroit, I don't have to do anything for about 3 hours. Like I just put my thumbs on the steering wheel.
Right.
So that's pretty impressive. The Mini doesn't have that, but the Mini will get that in the next generation. That's different ball game. But the buzzing, you just turn it off, you're done. Not a big deal. Yeah. Although it didn't bother me. I didn't have a problem with it because it was so subtle.
Right.
That it was probably the first system I've ever felt where I was like, I wasn't super annoyed by it, but I did question its ability to communicate the problem because it's so subtle.
Well, it's one of the things that people complained about that Mini needed, and still what Mini doesn't have that a lot of other cars have as standard is a blind spot warning when you start to merge over in a lane. Car will either beep at you or lights go off or something like that, and that is something where Mini still lacks. I don't think it needs it. I mean, if you set your mirrors correctly, you don't need it, but that is the one.
That would mean you know how to drive.
Yeah,
so.
That is the one.
Exactly. Yeah, Chad's right. I mean, I think the problem is like a lot of the all the various companies that sort of rate safety in cars now will ding Mini because they don't have that.
Right.
And yeah, Chad, I agree. It's like, listen, sure, it's nice, but if you've ever been taught how to check a blind spot, you don't need it.
Right.
But
I'm checking blind spots as a passenger.
I know. I don't trust people.
And Chad, Detroit, if you're especially in Detroit highways, Chicago highways, when it's or any highway for that matter, but when it's nuts and it's a knife fight out there, it is actually kind of helpful to have it.
I don't know if you're actually watching the news lately, but you can actually get shot while you're driving on the freeways now here. So
that's a bonus.
Nice.
Welcome to Murder City, USA.
But one of the things I was wondering is when you guys were talking about your whole lane assist and you got to go 4 lanes and the car's starting to freak out. if you turned your turn signal on for that quick 3 blink, would it then deactivate that?
Yes, it does. Great question.
Yeah, that's good.
So that it just kind of one of
Sir,
those
in the
things
front.
like
Great question.
you see it going, just hit it quick, and it wouldn't vibrate you, or unless you like
It'll
vibration.
turn you into
So
the
that
most
turns out
anal
every-
driver ever.
My favorite thing is the BMW system I described earlier. I don't know. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. It's like something plus, but it actually, if you turn your search, you do the gentle touch where it goes like it clicks 3 times. It actually will turn your car and move it in the other lane. So it'll actually take control and put you in the other lane seamlessly. That is a killer feature, because that is the point where like you only are ever like basically like have your thumb on the steering wheel and just like flick your turn signal every once in a while when you want to turn and pass people.
Wow.
I could see that being an advantage, but as long as you're checking your blind spots. But I still
Won't let
like
you go. It won't even do it. It'll basically be like nope, gotta wait for this car, and it'll show you on the screen. It'll show you a 3-dimensional rendering of all of the
of a car crash that you will be in if you do this move.
well, and
you see. Yeah, go ahead.
then you have to realize too, as a lot of these Mini owners, because I've dealt with this a lot this week, as of major flooding, all of these cars getting major water, all this. I want to keep this car. The reason that these cars are getting totaled is because of so many things like this that's so expensive. Every single sensor that was going to keep you out of an accident in that simple lane change is now full of water, and it's going to eventually corrode, and they don't want to pay for it, so they're just going to pay you out of the car, and it moves on and it's gone. So, that's why people have to realize how expensive these cars are in these type of aspects of all of these fancy features. Yeah, we're going to get dinged because we don't have a blind spot thing, but it also is bringing back the cost of the car that makes it better for insurance companies, but it makes it better for you. So there's this huge double-edged sword when you're talking about all this type of stuff. So,
Right.
Yeah, that's
Gabe,
true.
you're going to use the black and white picture of the convertible as one of the pictures on the MotoringFile post, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the nice thing about that, I say that because you took that in such a way, and the top's down, so it really accentuates the shape of the car, and it takes the color out of the equation. It's just like,
That's why I made it black.
right, and it's just like, that looks really cool. Right?
I was tired of seeing that color in my feed. I'll just be honest.
That's exactly what I'm looking at right now.
Just to get back really quickly to the car itself, I will say, I don't know, I've said this in the previous reviews I've done of the Mini convertibles, just in general. I mean, it's a really pretty incredible car when you think about it. It's a 4-seat convertible, and it has a trunk, and it's tiny, and it's totally livable. I mean, the seats are not huge in the back, but I mean, you can get by if you need to. And the trunk, not huge, but it's not bad. And you can fold the seats down in the back too. So it's surprisingly utilitarian in a lot of ways.
It is, and it's one of the convertibles though that my biggest complaint, and I think why we didn't consider a convertible as one of the next cars, we went with the hardtop, is because when you put the convertible top down, you lose trunk space because it goes into the Mini convertible still kind of. Goes into that trunk space and cuts down the amount of usable space that's there.
How much boost space you have?
Yeah,
but you fold the seats down, and you've got.
No, endless. I get it. But that's why we decided to keep the Roadster, because we're like, I like the convertible aspect, and you don't lose any space when you put the top down.
You don't lose any space in the trunk when you put the top down.
Right.
Hey, Gabe, does the top on this car? Top on this car does the whole convertible sunroof, and then fold back too. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a great feature. I mean, again, like it's a really livable car. You can pop the top super easy.
You can do it with the key now. You can raise and lower the top with the key automatically.
I don't think you can close with the key.
We did. I showed somebody how to do it. Now, I don't know if it was a setting that they had set on their car, but I showed them how to do it. Yeah.
Mine was not. I tried.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I had
press. It was that's a press car, man. I'm surprised the clutch was still any good.
Well, it's actually a good point. I think I was the first person to get it.
Oh, okay.
I've been asking about it for a long time.
Anyway. Well, it still looks like a convertible. At least there's that. Yeah. And it doesn't. I still think it's a good looking car. If you're a convertible liker, I mean, There's a zillion of these in Arizona. People love the crap out of the convertibles on the west side of the United States.
Yeah, they should. That's the place to do it.
Well, and tell us, Gabe, because for a while there, we thought that they were going to kill the convertible off, and that's not the case.
Not the case. They are not only selling okay, which is tepid, but Mini is going all in on them. And I think it's really interesting because they look at this and say, like, why would we kill it? It's the number one selling small convertible in the world, which, I mean, by the way, like, shocking. I didn't know that.
Shocking, yeah.
And I think a lot of what Mini's doing right now is they're making bets on what the consumers are going to want in the next 5 to 10 years.
Right.
And they're, hoping in a lot of ways. I mean, they're hoping that the small car and the small convertible are things that are going to appeal to people in the future as they're just tired of crossovers and SUVs. Now, that said, I mean, Mini still, and there's an article in MotoringFile about this week. They're still, the Countryman's still going to come. They're going to have another Countryman. It's going to be bigger. And by the way, there's going to be another Mini crossover, and it's going to be even bigger. So, what they're trying to do is they're trying to hold their base, which they know is sort of the core product, and it's the thing that makes people love the brand, while selling these other products, which a lot of people, frankly, just feel like they need.
Right. Because that's what they feel like. I mean, you guys see it. You drive around, go to the park. I take the Equinox out, and then all of a sudden it's parking at the grocery store. It's like a freaking club run, right? Holy
It's a club of Equinoxes. And
dude, it's Equinoxes and all those, the small compact SUVs, right? Even Clubman or Countryman, all of them, those little baby guys. That's just all there is, a whole parking lot full of those. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I mean, I can't help but think at some point people are going to start to look around and be like, I kind of want to try something a little bit different. And I remember when I used to have fun when I drove.
And you know what would be nice about this convertible, which I'm experiencing now with the F56, as opposed to the R56, is you get a convertible like this, you get it on the west side of the United States over here where it gets hot, right? But this time you actually have a car with air conditioning that kicks ass, right? That would it's a huge plus, because the AC in the F cars is so much better than it was in any R car.
It is really good. It is really good.
I mean, the AC in my Mini is almost better than the AC in the Equinox.
I never run mine on full. It's always on half or less, half or a quarter, because it is so effective. And it's hot here in Kansas City. I mean, it's going to be almost 100 degrees this week.
You guys get all that stupid humidity too.
Exactly.
You don't mess around.
Yep. But anyway, DB, you're right.
That's the difference of 134 and 1234, though, too, as well.
No, it's more than that, Chad. The way the air moves in this car is better than it was in the R56 or the R50 or the R53.
I think the volume of air is what you're saying, DB. It kicks out a lot more air. Yeah.
I can Kelly is super sensitive to heat. She does not like the heat. I can put her in this car, turn it to high with everything set as cool as possible, and in 30 seconds she's just like, oh, no, I'm fine.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? And which is very rare.
Nope.
Only accomplished that in her car and in like a Jeep.
Well, and that's coming from somebody, DB. You've had every generation of Mini, so
I've owned them all. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember going cross country in an R50, R50 Cooper, going through Utah, and doing like 80, 90 miles an hour, and it was 100 and whatever degrees out, and just hoping and praying we didn't break down and it was a brand new car, of course.
Oh yeah,
those are the days when you never knew.
Yeah, never knew
because. It was hot as hell. But then my second thought is like, well, I just hope to God we don't die from the heat as we're driving through the desert.
Get eaten by the lizards in the desert.
I used to drive my R50 across the desert all the time. I never had any problems. So,
well, that's good to hear about. I'm glad Gabe liked the convertible. I haven't spent a lot of time in the F-Series convertible. Other than
to be that guy, I mean, it's the convertible. It's the F56 with the drop top. I mean, it's the same car. Just you lose some storage space, but if you want the car that drops the top, that's the one to get. And
it really is. It's a good looking car.
The R57 owners loved them. If you've been a convertible owner, you've loved the convertible.
My wife does not. Yeah, my wife does not like the looks of the current Mini convertible with the top up. She's like, they only look good. She thinks they only look good with the top down, and she's kind of been that way with all Mini convertibles. And the Roadster is the one exception because it looks good, I think, with the top up or down.
Agreed.
But I don't have that same opinion because I think it looks okay with the top up.
I think this car looks a little bit sleeker with the top up than prior generation convertibles.
Yeah.
Right. The prior generation convertible tops seem to follow the hardtop lines a little bit more.
I think it's an optical illusion because the higher belt line.
Oh, it might be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
Gabe,
but
this car clearly convertible, probably heavier. Did it still do all the many things? It still handled well.
Yeah.
It was fun to drive in corners, and it was a hoot. It was a blast to drive in general. The wind blowing through your ginger hair.
Yes, it
and
was.
Your stupid shoes.
Here's the interesting about it. It's because they changed the suspension, so they made this big deal about like how they've redesigned the suspension of the refresh car to make it more like to make it no less aggressive, but to make it more comfortable. What they really did is they ditched the adaptive suspension the way it used to be, which had, and Chad, you can speak to this, but like, it had different settings, which actually changed the stiffness of the shocks.
Yep.
And so those are gone. And so now it's a different system. And what it feels to me, and I haven't driven the cars back to back, it's softer. It's not as soft as the previous non-sport, but it's softer than the sport suspension previously. And it has, I feel like it's actually not in this. I don't mean this in a bad way. It actually has a little bit more roll to it, a little bit more like sort of like pliancy. Is that a word?
Oh, yeah, it is. It should be if it's not.
And so, in a way, like it's got a little more roll to it, which I know people are like, "What?" But it actually feels good. I mean, it feels kind of like a classic Mini in that sense. It's like it's not like insanely stiff, but it grips. You know what it's going to do. It's very predictable, and it like has a personality to it that's kind of fun. So it was interesting. Kind of had to wrap my head around it because at first I was like, "What is with the suspension?" Like even the front to back. With the weight transfer and sort of the way it would, kind of move around under braking, et cetera. But like once you got used to it, it's kind of nice.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool.
So
okay.
All thumbs up. You'll see the review on MotoringFile soon.
Pretty soon. Excellent.
And I should give people an update also as we segue on here. Is I don't think we talked about this on the last show because it happened since we did the last show. My JCW hardtop, my 2019 JCW hardtop with 14,500 miles on it, all of a sudden gave me an alert that my front brakes needed to be replaced. At 14,000.
Oh, yeah, we talked about this on Slack. Yeah.
We talked about it
tissue paper brakes.
Yeah, I think the JCW brake pads are made. And so I started doing a little research onto this. And, you just do a Google search on JCW brake pads. And, a video comes up. The first video is a guy who's like, oh, yeah, I'm changing them on my wife's car. And he does a video on how to. But he goes, hers went out at 12,000 miles. And all she does is drive it around town in Florida somewhere. This guy's doing the video. And so I start looking, and I'm like, yep, these JCW brakes seem to last between, I know somebody as low as 8,000 miles and who have gotten as much as like 16 to 18,000 miles, but pretty much no more than 20 on a set of JCW brake pads. And I still don't know why. They're kind of thin. When you look at the pads themselves, they're actually kind of thin.
Yes.
And don't you drive everywhere like you're on a track day, Todd, anyway? I mean, come on.
I just do in-town driving. I've never done a track day with my car. It's probably more. And in town, you are using the brakes more. It's stopping in traffic.
You are.
So, but still, it's kind of a head-scratcher that at 14,000 miles. And my last JCW was the same way. My 2016, I think I replaced those at somewhere around 16 to 17,000 miles. But back in the show. But anyway, so I got those replaced today. Not too painful.
Cool.
It's not too hard to do yourself if you want to.
They are more of a race pad, so they are a thinner pad because they've got that massive caliper in there. And then you have those rotors, so they can't be, say, if a normal pad was, 13, 14 millimeters thick, your pad is probably 8 or 9 millimeters thick.
Yeah.
So it is a thinner pad, and it's only going to last, half of the life. And theoretically, most people around that 30,000 mile mark. So you're kind of half of that.
Yeah. Well, I use my brakes. I drive. I mean, I'm I don't want to say aggressive, but I use my brakes. And people ask me this question, and when Gabe's like, even in a manual transmission, but I'm like, yeah, when Mini did the rev matching in the manual transmission, and unless you shut that off, you're not getting any engine braking because the car's rev matching to, when you downshift.
Yeah, you get a little bit.
You get a little bit. But it's not.
Yeah, I still feel like I think it's part brakes, part Todd.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's not me because everybody in the country, this is happening to, JCW owners. And
I'm also
well, then they're Todd disciples.
They are.
I was going to say it's more like 90-10. 90-10.
I want to hear from our listeners. If you've got a JCW and you've replaced your brakes, I want to hear how many miles it's been. And this is an F56 JCW. And
the new ones, yeah.
Yeah, I don't care what it is because, and Chad, to your point also, these pads have a whole lot more surface area than the old ones. The old ones were kind of crescent shaped.
Oh, yeah.
And the new JCW pads are like big rectangle squares that fit in there.
So then the next question is, are you going to replace them with JCW pads, or are you going to put on something like some Honk pads or something like that instead?
Oh, dude, this is a lease car that I'm turning in 4 months. So I put on whatever.
You're going to put back
Maybe turn it in 4 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. Fair enough.
So anyway, let us know, JCW pads, are they in fact made of Kleenex material? Because they don't last. But I got to say, they're great brakes. They work they're insanely good. And so
it was kind of funny that, we were actually talking this with a customer today. And the fact that the R50 and 52s and 53s were a little bit underbraked, and then they went, totally opposite. Just like everything else with the Mini is like, we need these gigantic brakes, and they keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and they are better, but they're not lasting as long.
Well, and if anybody, and I think all of us here have done track time before, and you drive with as much with the brakes as you do with the accelerator. Like, you handle your car, you're kind of trained to do that, and that's kind of me too. It's like I use my brakes to control the car, basically, as you should, but
So having had a JCW Countryman Club in the past 2 years, both had the 16.1 inch rotors. I mean, and you think the F56 JCW's got big brakes. These things are massive. They're bigger than my 1Ms, my BMW 1Ms brakes, and they're actually. Wow. I mean, I hate to say they're better. Like they have. I would say, just generally speaking, although that car's got 19,000 miles on it, this has got less. They don't have as much feel, but they feel like they have more stopping power.
Yeah.
Wow. Which is pretty incredible when you think
better
about
than
it.
The 1M.
Yeah. Well, the 1M's got the floating caliper design from the E. I don't even know what it is. E90 brakes.
Gabe, it's the holy grail. It's the 1M, man.
And a lot of people
the best thing ever. Come on.
Yeah, but the car's 50.
No, the 1M is not heavier. It's actually about 500 pounds lighter, if I remember.
But they're also
man. It's holy grail.
13-year-old technology too.
10.
10. Okay.
But regardless, though, point being, it's a great. The brakes are phenomenal on the JCW Club and Countryman. I mean, they are massive. They're aluminum calipers, by the way, which is really interesting. Really interesting side note: JCW GP actually used the exact same brake design as the Club and Countryman, which are of course massive, like honking brakes.
Right.
But they made them out of steel, because they were concerned about lap after lap and what the heat would do to aluminum calipers, which is kind of interesting when you think about it.
So you're saying once I get my JCW Countryman, don't track it?
Yeah, don't track it.
Well, you could. We could see what happened.
I don't know. Let's try. Give me that warranty. Give me that extended warranty.
That's something I have to do with this car. And Kelly keeps bugging me to show. She's never actually been in a car. When I was driving, I instructed her in her 5 Series once.
Yeah.
And she goes, "No, dude, we got to take you out. We got to put your car on the track." It's like, okay, we'll go do it.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Absolutely.
After I get rid of these, it'll give me an excuse to go blast through these damn run flat tires. Get rid of them. Ugh.
There you go.
They're horrible. Anyway,
what? One day,
someday, maybe. Where were we? What were we talking about?
Yeah, well,
like we lost track.
We're done talking about brakes now. I was just interjecting that because that was
we've stopped. We've stopped talking about brakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. I will say.
Come on, that was funny.
Let's put a brake on the brakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will mention there's one
show
other
title
article.
right there too, by the way.
There's a bunch of stuff on MotoringFile that everybody should go read, but there's one other article that I thought was worth mentioning. I get this email all the time. Where is the electric Countryman? And the short answer is it's not here yet, but it's coming. It's going to come in the next generation. It's going to be a car that I think is going to be what a lot of people are going to wait for. It's going to be also a car that's probably going to have, for the first time, a real range, well over 200 miles. Could be even more than that. I mean, I've heard rumors that it's going to be at least 250. So I think that's going to be a massive from a sort of just a kind of electrification for the brand. It's going to be kind of a pinnacle for the brand in a lot of ways. So that is coming. Read that on MotoringFile.
I'll link it up in the show notes.
A few details. Plus, bonus.
Make sure you're following MotoringFile on all the socials anyway. Come on. Gabe posts the best pictures.
Absolutely. Thank you. Bonus. There's also going to be a mild hybrid as well as potentially a plug-in hybrid and a larger crossover for those who need just big minis.
Right.
Well, I will say that
on
the electric version of everything, everybody wants to. I've heard it. They want to go electric. They want to do more things, but they need the range, and they need more than 200. So, and a lot more, because there's a lot of other cars that can do upwards of 400. So, Mini, i.e., in the Countryman range, they need to really make that range much more.
So here's the problem. There's a couple things there. I think, for one, you pay for batteries. So as much as Tesla wants to talk about their Model 3 being a $30,000 car, it's not. You can't put an option on it under 50. I think the other thing is, there is the way this works, and this is shocking actually, but the way the EPA actually quantifies the data on miles actually comes from the manufacturers. So the manufacturers do their own tests and then give the EPA the data, and they say, like, okay, that sounds good to us. Tesla is insanely, like, they have all their systems in their cars and jacked up to 11 essentially. And like everything they have is jacked up as far as it'll go to sort of create as much range as possible. Good, bad, you can talk about that forever, but they are not conservative with that stuff. And maybe it's because they have better design, but they are not conservative. Whereas Porsche and BMW and the European manufacturers are exceedingly conservative. I mean, just think about how much money they've had to pay from Dieselgate over the past 5 years. You think those car companies are going to take any kind of liberty with any kind of milestone? What's interesting is you look at the Taycan, the Porsche Taycan. People are getting well over 300 miles out of that car, easy. Porsche only rates it at just some of it is almost 400. They rate it under 300. So they're super conservative, where Tesla's not at all. They're the opposite. Right. And Mini falls in that category as well. So I think it's going to be kind of tricky. I mean, to your point, Chad, it'll get more, but it also, place like Michigan where you're at, or a place like Phoenix, you need more miles. You got to go places.
Well,
whereas
I think
you're in New York, Chicago, Boston.
And I think those numbers need to come out for people to be like, oh, okay, so they rated at this, but it really is this. I mean, every car manufacturer has done that, since the dawn of, driving Woodward and doing, burnouts. Is like, oh, that car was only 250 horsepower. Right.
Yeah, let's remember back to what Pat McKenna said in our last show. And if you haven't heard that, go back and listen to the interview. It's fascinating. He talked about the electric Mini, that it was usually a second or third car for most people buying this. And it makes sense because it's got, a smaller range, but it's quite affordable at that. So that's who it's targeted for. The current electric Mini with the 120, 130, whatever the mile range is on it, is not for everybody right now.
That's a city car.
And
I think any electric car for somebody that is doing that is not for everybody,
Yeah. And I think that's kind of where we are right now. And so it's kind of fascinating to think about it. People are like, well, I'm not going to get an electric car. I need more range. I get that. That's not for you. It's okay. Just be patient, because like Gabe said, they're coming, because in a Countryman, the platform, will allow for larger batteries, bigger, more space, therefore more range. But then again, hopefully the price and the cost, and I think a lot of car companies are playing that that game of hopefully down the line battery technology is going to get a little more affordable, so that we don't have to charge $60,000-$70,000 for these cars to get 300-mile range. That's kind of what they're playing.
Yeah, I think you're right, Todd. And I think the other aspect too is, I mean, it's going to get more affordable for sure. Technology is going to get better. I mean, listen, software, even with just software, you're getting more range sometimes when they sort of work through things. Porsche just released an update to the Taycan that gives it more range. Yeah. So, yeah, it's an interesting space for us to think through. And I mean, I, for one, as much as I love manual transmissions, as much as I love supercharger wines and fast cars that sound fast, I mean, I'm a convert when it comes to electric cars. I love them. I think they're amazing. Now, am I going to have a fleet of electric cars only? No, I'm going to definitely have some petrol cars in there, but I think that they serve a purpose now, and they're going to serve more purpose in the years ahead.
Yeah. Interesting side note on electric vehicles. I can actually sell you a Tesla exhaust from Miltech that sounds like a muscle car.
Is it just a stereo? Is it just like, some speakers?
It's just a tune.
It's a gigantic speaker that's on the bottom of the car, and it is stupid expensive.
Well, and I saw somebody on I saw a YouTube video about that, about how to make your Tesla sound like a supercar, and it's just in the dash, the little iPad that's in the dash there. They fire it up, and it's like, okay, that works if you're into such things.
There's some good, like the Taycan. I keep on talking about that, but that thing sounds amazing. It sounds like something from Star Wars.
Yeah,
it's awesome. And I mean, I know it's just speakers, but like it just sounds cool.
Well, speaking of what sounds cool, is
Audi e-tron is similar. It's a different sound, but it's also equally like pretty impressive. It almost sounds like a V8.
Well, I'll say this, and then we can wrap the show. That the cool sound is in the Mini SE. When you start it up, it gives you the sound, and I describe it as the opening sound of the of the Rush song "Tom Sawyer." It's a, it's right. Just go listen to that song, and you'll know what the Mini sounds like.
Oh my God, you cracked it!
Dude, that's so funny.
Really spot on.
It is. And so I think I need to do like a side by side. I need to.
It's like the Dolby sound too. Yeah, you need to side by side and post it on your Instagram stories or something so we can all see.
Yeah,
that'd be hilarious. Yeah, funny stuff.
Wow.
Oh well.
Good deal.
On that note,
I want to remind you guys really quick. I want you to go over motoringbadges.com, motoringstripes.com. You pick dealer's choice. Really, go to either one of them to go to the same spot. Motoringbadges.com. You need stripes for your car? Go get stripes for your car. Todd's going to hook you up. You need decals, you need magnets, you need whatever for your car. Go over to motoringstripes.com. Todd's going to hook you up. Get over there, and you can also get the rally badges, the flag and your Instagram handle, or your last name, or you and your wife, whatever you want to do, your boyfriend, doesn't matter. It's cool stuff. Makes your Mini way less boring. Very cool stuff. Go over there, check all that stuff out. Make sure, and I've talked about this like the last 3 shows, and I want to remind you guys, go to the new products page, and if you are car owners, on the front of your car, on the back of your car, you get Mini Cooper emblems. The logos, you can't read them anymore. They faded out, right? They're gone. Todd's going to sell you a replacement little decal, put on that, and it's going to make it look brand new again. And right now, I sell them for $6. $6. And it's like, oh, look, my car's a Mini again. Hooray. Go get this done. $6. And then if you want your, air conditioning to work, White Refrigerator Sunroof Delete Kit is always available. Shoot Todd a message, send him $100. He'll gonna send you one.
It's there. It's online now. It's
online. It's already here. You can order it, and it's a snap to install and actually makes your air conditioning work if you are west of the Rockies. Trust me on that one. It is the best mod you can do if you don't like the sunroof on your car, but you have one anyway. Go check it out. Motoring Badges, motoringstripes.com. Like I said, you pick. Because, blank is boring.
Yes.
And other than that, we are done. I want to thank everybody for all the extra feedback that you provided. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, we'll do a Gen show. Sure. Heck, we're in. Why not? It'd be great. See how drunk we can get in making a podcast. Woohoo! Good times. And I would like to do something else. We haven't done this one in a very long time. So I put together a survey. It's an anonymous survey. I don't want to know who you are. I don't want your email address, and I don't want your name. I just want to know some answers to some questions, and there's a link to that in your app. The link will actually work, and it'll be on the show notes as well. And that's whiteroofradio.com/survey. If you could take maybe 5-10 minutes to take that for us, we'd really appreciate it. And there's even a spot there for just like feedback. If you want to type out a paragraph of notes or whatever, just like, you guys suck, I hate the show, you should have died a long time ago, or, we'd like to hear more voices, whatever happened to Zeke, and, that kind of stuff. I don't care. Put it all in there. It's all 100% anonymous. Google will tell you it's using a Google form. So, I mean, it's as anonymous as you can be with Google, but that information is not passed on to me, like on the back, on the sly. Like if I pass them $5, they go, oh yeah, here's Chad. That's Chad's. That's Todd's. That's Gabe's. They don't tell me who filled them out, right? I don't even get your IP address. It's awesome. So please, whiteroofradio.com/survey. I would greatly appreciate it. Otherwise, I'm done. Does anybody have anything else?
No, sir.
Thank you. Sweet. Excellent. Thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Your time, as always. And, of course, to the fine and good-looking, the best-looking podcast listening audience in White Roof Radio. Still listening in from around the planet. For those of you who are curious, yeah, you guys are still everywhere. Australia, yeah. I'm sending stickers to Australia. I think I mentioned that. UK, of course. Canada, of course. Russia, China, yeah, sure. Chile, you got it. We're everywhere. White Roof Radio is world famous. Like I always say, I'm looking at the stats right now. It's crazy. You guys are insane. It's really awesome. Thanks so much. Anyway, this is the part of the show where we go and shut things down. And I like to make the funny clicking sound. And then I say, questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead, click back over to whiteroofradio.com. There you can leave us a note in the show notes. You can also email us, feedback@whiteroofradio.com. But until next time, gang, this is DB. I'm done.
Cheers.
See ya.
Cheers.